Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here today to get you started on Unit 5, Short O and Short U. Please take a second to gather your materials. You should have this book open to page 35, and you will also need some colorful writing tools, crayons, markers, colored pencils, whatever you can find. Remember that whatever I do on the board, you should be doing on your page. Please save room for a key. If you can't fit it on here, go ahead and write it on a separate sheet of paper or a sticky note. All right, so over the last several weeks, we have been learning about short vowels. We spent 2 weeks on short A, then we talked about short I, then short E, and now we're moving on to short O and short U. So that will round out our vowels. There are 5 total, okay? So as I read this list of words to you, I want you to listen for the short O, ah sound, or the short U, sound in each word. All right, here we go. Please repeat after me. Blunt, does, dusk, fond, jump, just, must, pond, stomp, stump. Okay, hopefully you heard the ah or the in each word. So real quickly, I want you to choose a color, and we are going to go through and we are going to find those short vowel sounds. So let's start with the U. We have the U in blunt, the U in dusk, the U in jump, the U in just, the U in must, and the U in stump. Nothing tricky about those, but take a look at number 2. In this word, we have an O and an E working together to make a short U sound. D-a-z, does. That's crazy, right? You don't see that anywhere else in the English language. Doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to put a star next to that word just to remind ourselves that we're going to have to put a little extra effort into memorizing that weird spelling, okay? Over here, pink box equals short U sound. So everything we boxed, including this, is going to make that short U sound. All right, let's choose a second color. And now we're going to look for the letter O. So we have an O in fond, an O in pond, and an O in stomp. Those three words are using the letter O to make that short O, sound. Okay, nothing tricky about that. So now I want to return to the topic that we've been looking at for the last several weeks, and that is final blends. And the good news is that we don't have any new blends this week. These are all patterns you've seen before. But let's start marking them. Starting with the NT in the word blunt. I guess we only see that pattern once this week. Remember, we saw that in previous weeks with words like plant and pants. So this is our NT blend. This is a blend that you'll never see at the beginning of a word, but it shows up quite frequently at the end. All right, how about the SK in dusk? You've seen that before in words like task and risk. I'm just going to write SK. You can write blend if you want to. Remember, this is a blend that shows up at the beginning of a word, words like skill and skip, but it also shows up at the end. All right, we'll let that one go. Now we have the ND blend in fond and pond. Okay. We have the MP blend. We've seen that one before with words like lamp. So now we have it in jump and stomp and stump. My guess is that you guys are really good at these blends by now. And then one more. We have the ST blend in just and must. That's another blend that shows up at the beginning of a word, like stop and stand, as well as the end. This word does not have a blend, but I threw it in here anyway because it's really a word that every second grader should know how to spell. And in my years of teaching, I've seen a lot of older students spell it incorrectly. So my theory is, let's just master it now, become experts when we're little, so that we're not making silly mistakes as we get older. Okay, so those are all of our words. Last week we talked a little bit about verb tenses. Remember, verbs are action words, and so we talked about how to distinguish between things we're doing now and things we did in the past. So now I walk, yesterday I walked. Now I jump, yesterday I jumped. Most of the time we can change a word to the past tense just by adding ed. However, last week in our short E list, we had a whole bunch of rule breakers. Words like slept, now I sleep, yesterday I slept. Another word was felt. Now I feel good, yesterday I felt good. So last time we really focused on the rule breakers. This week, we don't have any rule breakers. We do definitely have some verbs here, and we're gonna mark them right now with a V. So jump, that's a verb, that's something you can do. Stomp, right, you stomp your foot, that's something you can do. And then the word stump can be used as a noun or a verb, right? If you chop down a tree, the piece that's left in the dirt is the stump. That's a noun. But it has another meaning too. If somebody tells you a riddle and you can't figure out the answer, you're like, oh, I'm stumped, right? So when you stump someone, you confuse them to the point where they're just stuck. So these are all verbs, and for all of them, if I want to change them to the past tense, I just add ed. I jumped, I stomped, and I was stumped. Notice it sounds like a T, but it's still ed, okay? Ed has 3 different sounds. Sometimes it sounds like t, sometimes it sounds like d, and sometimes it sounds like id or ud. Okay, but don't get tricked by that. Just remember, if it's a verb and you want to make it sound like it already happened, you're going to put ed on the end. All right, real quick, let's see if there are any tricky words here. The word blunt has 2 meanings. It's the opposite of sharp. So if you use your kitchen knives a lot, they're going to get less sharp. They're going to start being blunt, and then you're going to have to sharpen them. Same thing with scissors. You would not give your 3-year-old brother a pair of kitchen scissors that are really sharp. You'd give him some scissors with the rounded edges that are blunt. That way, if he cuts himself, he won't get hurt. Okay? So blunt can mean not sharp. Okay? Blunt can also mean like a person can be blunt if they just say whatever's on their mind. Okay, so if mom fixes a meal for you and you sit down, you're like, ooh, this is gross, or this is too salty, right? That's a little too blunt, right? Sometimes when you're blunt, it comes out kind of rude. So when you're blunt, you just say what's on your mind. Does you know, dusk is the opposite of dawn. So dawn is in the morning when the sun comes up. Dusk is that time of day when the sun goes down. Depending on the time of year, dusk might happen at 5 o'clock at night, or it could happen at 9 o'clock at night, right? But that's the point where the sun goes down and it starts to get dark. Fond. If you are fond of something, that means you love it, right? Like I'm very fond of my friends. I'm very fond of my cousins and my aunts and uncles, right? So it's kind of like in between like and love. It's in the middle there. Jump, you know, just like, oh, I just ate, or I just missed the bus. I think you know that word. Must, something you have to do. A pond is like a tiny lake. So we'll say a small body of water. Usually if you look in a pond, you could see lily pads, maybe some frogs, maybe some fish, maybe some ducks come to the pond, but it's not very big. You could probably even walk all the way around a pond. Stomp, we talked about where you bang your foot. Usually we stomp our feet if we're frustrated, or maybe we've been out in the snow and we don't want to track snow in the house, or we've been playing in the mud and we don't want to track that into the house. So we stomp our boots to get all that yucky stuff off. And then stump, like I talked about, it's either the part of the tree that's left when you cut down the tree, or to stump someone means to confuse them. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Good luck with your unit, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.